Welcome to Wildcard Wednesday on the Michele Tafoya podcast. I love Wednesdays. Before we go any further, please hit subscribe. Just click that subscribe button, whether you're watching on Rumble or YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcast, please subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of the permanent family. Never miss an episode. Okay, if you're new to Wildcard Wednesday, this is a fun day. We grab a bunch of really fascinating videos off the internet and we talk about them. So without further ado, I want to talk about this one. This one is kind of disturbing in that we have people in America who are encouraging other people in America to fight ICE agents. Misty, roll the tape.
In a rare bit of good news in these incredibly depressing times, the director of ICE has come out and said that assaults against ICE officers have gone up 400% in the last year. And I just think that's the coolest statistic I've ever heard in my life. First of all, good job, everybody. I think that if we all work together diligently, we can get that up to 1,000%, right? And then next year we go for 2,000% over this 1,000% increase. And obviously this is indicative of the increased presence of ICE in our country. When you're out on the street committing heinous crimes on a regular basis instead of every now and then, you're going to get resistance more often. And I just think this kind of information, along with all the losses that Trump has suffered in court recently, are really just galvanizing everybody to say, hey, we don't have to sit down and allow this to continually happen. There are ways that we can push back against that. And if it has to be physical, then it has to be physical. And I'm glad that we are publicly saying, hey, more people are fighting back, because it's not the deterrent that they think it is. It's just inspiring more people.
Okay. He said that's the coolest statistic he's heard in his life, I think he said. ICE is Immigration and Customs Enforcement, in case you're unclear on what that is. No, it's not a terrorist group, and it's not the KGB. And he is saying, go for it. Good for you. Resistance is real. If we have to get physical, we're going to get physical. Now, that guy, if he were a teacher, an accountant, a lawyer, he sounds, is it okay for me to say? He sounds totally normal. He doesn't sound like a loon, but clearly he's saying when you're out committing crimes, he's accusing ICE of committing crimes. So this is what ICE has to deal with. And these are, as far as I can tell, law-abiding citizens, these agents, and they're asked to do a job. Because I'd like him to look one of the moms of a fallen child who died at the hands of an illegal immigrant in the face and tell her he thinks it's really cool that people are attacking ICE agents. I'd like him to do that, but I doubt he will. Listen, the Trump presidency was won in I think, significant part by the fact that people wanted crime lowered. They want law and order. I think people deep down all want law and order. And that means that some illegal immigrants have to leave because they're committing crimes. So if you're going to stand up for the criminals, you're on the wrong side of history here, pal. All right, speaking of being on the wrong side of history, there's a kid, and I think he's in 6th or 7th grade. And he wore a shirt to school that said, there are only 2 genders, or something like that. You'll hear from him in a second. But he was asked to take the shirt off by the school principal, and he refused. So they called his dad, and his dad said, I support my kid. Let's listen to this kid as he speaks to the school board. This case was just brought up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court declined to hear it. I think this is important. Roll the tape.
In the 7th, 10th grade at Nichols Middle School, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. I never thought that the shirt I wore to school on March 21st would lead me to speak with you today. On that Tuesday morning, I was taken out of gym class to sit down with two adults for what turned out to be a very uncomfortable talk. I was told that people were complaining about the words on my shirt, that my shirt was making some students feel unsafe. Yes, words on a shirt made people feel unsafe. They told me that I wasn't in trouble, but it sure felt like I was. I was told that I would need to remove my shirt before I could return to class. When I nicely told them that I didn't want to do that, they called my father. Thankfully, my dad supported my decisions and came to pick me up. What did my shirt say? 5 simple words. There are only 2 genders. Nothing harmful, nothing threatening, just a statement I believe to be a fact. I have been told that my shirt was targeting a protected class. Who is this protected class? Are their feelings more important than my rights? I don't complain when I see pride flags and diversity posters hung throughout the school. Do you know why? Because others have a right to their beliefs just as I do. Not one person, staff, or student told me that they were bothered by what I was wearing. Actually, just the opposite. Several kids told me that they supported my actions and that they wanted one too. I was told that the shirt was a disruption to learning. No one got up and stormed out of class. No one burst into tears. I'm sure I would have noticed if they had. I experience disruptions to my learning every day. Kids acting out in class are a disruption, yet nothing is done. Why do the rules apply to one, yet not another? I feel like these adults were telling me that it wasn't okay for me to have an opposing view. Their arguments were weak, in my opinion. I didn't go to school that day to hurt feelings or cause trouble. I have learned a lot from this experience. I learned that a lot of other students share my view. I learned that adults don't always do the right thing or make the right decisions. I know that I have a right to wear a shirt with those 5 words. Even at 12 years old, I have my own political opinions, and I have a right to express those opinions. Even at school, this right is called the First Amendment to the Constitution. My hope in being here tonight is to bring the school committee's attention to this issue. I hope that you will speak up for the rest of us so we can express ourselves without being pulled out of class. Next time, it may not only be me. There might be more students that decide to speak out. Thank you for your time and good night.
That kid is 12. That kid is 12. Now, maybe he had some help writing that. That's fine, but he delivered it very well. And what he's saying, I have a couple thoughts. Number one, people say that the First Amendment does not apply in schools. So in other words, you can't go around just saying anything you want in a public school or a private school, that you are held to a different standard. Now, that may be true. And maybe each school has its own set of rules. I don't know. But what this kid did is stand up and say, why are their feelings more important than my rights? I love that. And he's correct on that. But the Supreme Court declined to hear this case. They left it to the lower court because they said, yeah, maybe his shirt is triggering. Maybe if he changed the word genders to sexes, it would be more fact-based, and because people talk about gender fluidity. But here's the thing. Teachers and students have the right to show up at all kinds of school levels, from pre-K on up to high school, with pride flags and save trans kids and all these messages that are deemed inclusive. Well, deemed inclusive by whom? Now, I'm just getting into this for argument's sake, okay? Because I'm okay with this. We are concerned about the quote-unquote safe feelings of one group of people, and we're totally ignoring the opinions of others. I remember so clearly, Ellen DeGeneres had Megyn Kelly on her show. And Ellen asked Megyn how she could possibly interview Donald Trump. And Megyn said, well, he's the president of the United States. This was during the first term. He's the president of the United States. Wouldn't you want that opportunity? And Ellen said, I would not feel comfortable having him on my set, sitting next to him on this sofa, because I wouldn't feel safe. Now, I'm not sure how we define safe in this manner. And this is why we've created this coddling of safe spaces and the like on campuses. It disturbs me how many people would rather feel safe and enclosed and protected. They don't get to know who they really are if they're not challenged. They don't get to find out how strong they are. They prefer to just be docile and weak. I want people to cultivate their courage and get out there. And instead of sending this kid home, let's have a talk about this. Let's debate this. Clearly, a 12-year-old is capable of debating this idea. And if you're going to bring gender ideology into a school, I think he has just as much a right as anyone to say, you know what? I disagree. There are only two genders. Probably should change it to sexes. Whatever. It's disappointing that this didn't get a Supreme Court hearing, but I can't wait to see where this kid goes in his life. I'm going to track him because that's pretty darn cool. It wasn't cool for Wake Forest students to have to listen to Scott Pelley at their graduation ceremony. Now, you may have seen this tape, but if you haven't, I'm going to include it here today. Because, and Michael Goodwin, who's been on my show a couple times here, you may have seen him, he's a columnist for the New York Post, had some really strong words to say about Scott Pelley after Scott Pelley said these things at the Wake Forest commencement speech. Roll it, Misty.
But in this moment, this morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. The fear to speak in America. Power can rewrite history with grotesque, false narratives. They can make criminals heroes and heroes criminals. Power can change the definition of the words we use to describe reality. Diversity is now described as illegal. Equity is to be shunned. Inclusion is a dirty word. This is an old playbook, my friends. Yeah. There's nothing new in this.
Okay, it's an old playbook. It's leading up to authoritarianism. Okay, this reminds me of when I see a bookstore and they have a big sign in the window that says, "We sell banned books." Think about that for a minute. If books were banned, you wouldn't have access to selling them. So the books aren't banned because you're selling them. Oh, you try to be cute and clever. We sell banned books. Okay, what he's standing up there saying, because he has the First Amendment right to speak, is that people are afraid to speak and they're not allowed to speak as he's standing there speaking. And then he goes into this insidious fear is invading our homes, our schools, our personal thoughts. How does he know the personal thoughts of anyone to claim that insidious fears are creeping in? It was so dark and so bad. And yeah, he's getting ripped for it. And I would recommend, if you don't follow Michael Goodwin, follow him. Find that piece that he wrote today on it, because he does it to a T. And I want to give him credit for that. But the bottom line here is this. Where is his evidence? See, what he wants you to think is that because DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, is being phased out, that somehow we're no longer inclusive. No, DEI programs, we have seen time and time again, are not inclusive. They don't include all thought, diversity of thought. Equity is a word no one wants to use, and you're using it in the wrong way. Equality is the word you should use, not equity. Equity means everyone comes out the same in the end. You don't want that. It would be great if everyone could be Elon Musk in their brains, or they could be Buffett in their money, or they could be, I'm trying to think of people, Gigi Hadid in their looks. Hadid? Oh, sorry, Gigi. If you could promise that equity, but you can't. There will always be someone better looking. There will always be someone wealthier. There will always be someone smarter and more successful. You in this country are guaranteed the right to pursue what you want, not the right to get it. So that's why the word equity is so misleading. And he's saying it's, taking it out of American culture. No. It's just not what it means, dude. It's disappointing. It's disappointing to see a quote unquote journalist, by the way, from 60 Minutes, who denied the Hunter Biden laptop, who pushed the Russia hoax, who edited the Kamala Harris interview to make her look cogent. This is the guy that's telling you to be afraid. So, sorry. Don't buy it, Scott. And all the crap that you're taking online, I think you brought it on yourself. Now, I'll tell you one person who does feel scared, and that's Kira Sedgwick, the wife of Kevin Bacon. Now, you'll recognize her. She had her own career as well. But right now, she wants you to know how scared she is. Roll it, Misty.
How you doing? I felt like it was important to get on the blower and talk a little bit about how I'm feeling and wondering how you're feeling about the state of our union. I'm finding myself pretty scared about a lot of things, scared about losing my rights as a woman, scared about losing my right to vote as a woman, scared about losing autonomy over my body as a woman, scared of my parents' Social Security checks, scared of food banks running out of food and not being able to replenish because they're no longer getting federal funding. Yes, the federal government can use improvement, and there's a lot of things that they've done right over the decades. So I think the answer to being freaked out for me is about community. And I feel excited that we're coming together as a nation on Saturday. You can look it up in your area. It's Hands Off March. And, I'm just going to go and hear what I hear and feel less alone in the world, because I feel like that's really important. So if you're worried about anything that's going on in the world, I would suggest that you might want to get out there and have your body counted and your voice heard. And we'll probably learn a lot and help each other just by being together.
Okay, so she's scared of losing her rights as a woman, of losing her rights as a woman to vote. The hell? Where is she getting her information? What is her evidence that her right as a woman to vote is being threatened? I don't feel that. And I'm a woman, Kira. I don't know where you're getting that. I also know that here in the state that I live in Minnesota, the laws about women's right to govern their body are so liberal. No, she should move here, except she lives in California, where those laws are not being threatened either. Where has anyone said they want to take your rights away? As a woman, my rights as a woman. What does that mean? And she's worried about her parents' Social Security check. Does she have evidence? Have they stopped coming? Have they stopped arriving? See, evidence is key, folks. Evidence, not just opinions. Evidence matters. Now, if she came on and said, my parents didn't get their Social Security check, what is happening? I might listen to her. Or if she said, I went to vote and I was told to go home because I'm a woman, I might listen to her. But she has no evidence. She just wants you to show up at the rally, the Hands Off rally. All right. She's totally entitled to her opinion. And I'm entitled to my response. And I think she's ginning up fear. I think the entire left is ginning up fear. And that includes Rosie O'Donnell, who moved to Ireland, but that isn't stopping her from speaking out. Let's hear her latest rant. Misty, roll it.
So many marginalized people in our nation. Millions of people are going to go hungry. Millions of people are going to die early for not getting their medication. Millions of people are going to suffer as a result of the big, beautiful bill. So for God's sakes, call your senators right now and tell them, talk to some Republicans, get the ones you've known for years and take them out to lunch and go, listen, dude, do you get this? Do you have a grandmother? Do you know what this is going to do to all the elderly in this country? Do you have any understanding of what's at stake? Like, this is the most blatantly corrupt thing that Mango Mussolini has ever come up with. Honestly. Very infuriating.
I'll give her credit for Mango Mussolini. That actually is kind of funny. That line. So thanks for being a comedian again, Rosie. But here's the thing. She says it again. This is insidious. Do you know how many people are going to die? Food shelves. Do you know how many old people are going to, marginalized people are going to die? Does she know how many marginalized people have been pushed aside by the Biden administration to accommodate a lot of people who are here rent-free? So, look, I doubt Rosie O'Donnell has read the Big Beautiful Bill. I really doubt it. I doubt that most of Congress has read the Big Beautiful Bill. That's a shame. But that's a story for another day. So, yeah, I applaud her for encouraging people to get involved and call their senators. Fine, that's fine. But maybe you should know what you're talking about first. And we have heard time and again, Social Security will not be touched. And what they're trying to do with Medicaid is just limit it to people who actually earn it. So, all right, Rosie, you go. Part of the reason Rosie says she left the United States was because she felt that LGBTQ people were being mistreated or her child was going to be mistreated. Here's another person who believes he has been mistreated. This is one of those videos that I'm almost reluctant to play. But again, I want you to understand, especially if you have kids and they're on TikTok all the time. This is the kind of thing they're seeing. Roll it, Misty.
I got so mad at work today. I got misgendered by customers 5 different times. 5 different times. You could obviously tell I am a woman. And I got misgendered 5 different times. I finally yelled at one of the customers and looked at him and says, "Do I look like a goddamn man to you?" I sure did. And then I told him if he called me a man one more time, I was going to reach across this counter and slap him. Which I got in trouble for and wrote up for at work, because I shouldn't be talking to a customer that way. But damn it, if I tell you that I am a woman, then you need to freaking listen. Because that's what I am. Nobody gets to tell me otherwise. So, yeah, I got misgendered again 5 different times at work today. I guess I need to write she, her on my forehead. I'm telling you.
How many times did you get misgendered? 5? I think you got misgendered 5 times. Now, part of that is humorous because he's so clearly male. Part of it is sad because I don't think this person is really, I don't know. You have to look at that tape and say something isn't quite right. Now, I know people are going to scream at me and say, yeah, he's a marginalized person. Why would you say that? I mean, could we just get real about this? He wants to be recognized as a woman. Someone mistakenly misgendered him, her. I'm sorry. You guys, I'm sorry. I cannot go along with the charade. That is a male. That is why he was misgendered. You are not a woman. Maybe you should write she, her on your forehead or on your name tag. But it is not society's responsibility to look at you and not believe their eyes. Again, I went back and forth on rolling this one for you because I don't think that person is altogether well. And I don't want to be seen as targeting that person because they're unwell. But this was on TikTok. And this is what kids are looking at. And this is what people are getting furious about. I was misgendered. Me. And it's your problem. And it's your fault. And I was going to reach across and slap him. Yeah, you got in trouble at work. I mean, really? So this is a charade. I understand that some people want to identify as the opposite sex. They become a trans. But you cannot alter the English language and American culture for these people. You can respect them. You can apologize and say, I'm sorry. But it is a lie. You don't have female chromosomes. Oh, God. All right. This is another good one. This person didn't have specifics when she was being interviewed. So instead of being responsible for her own lack of specifics, she attacked the interviewer. Roll it, Misty.
Like, the United States is kind of trash.
Okay.
Doesn't treat its people well.
How so?
I don't really know why you're having this. Do you want to have a conversation?
Well, that's why I'm asking you. How so?
What do you mean?
You said the United States treats its people like trash, so I was just asking how.
I mean, right now, how many people are suffering because they can't afford health care? Let's start with there. How about?
Got it. Well, Trump just slashed prescription drug prices by 50 to 80%.
So that
are you
prescription
unhappy with
drug
that?
sellers can raise their prices. I mean, he's just working for fucking capitalism.
Well, he actually isn't taking a salary. And he's also lost $1 billion in his net worth from the first administration when the first time he ran.
He's taking money from literally anyone who will pay for his stupid fucking coin, his what is it? Trump coin, Doge coin, I don't know.
There's a lot of cryptocurrencies that people make money off of. Are you upset with him making money? You can't.
Don't.
Okay. America treats its people like trash. What do you mean? What, don't you want to have a conversation with me? Yeah, I'm asking a follow-up. His follow-up was so benign and so perfect. What do you mean? How are people being treated like trash? And that's when she starts to get defensive. Like, okay, so you want to make this statement. What's the evidence? Then she offers, how many people can't get medical treatments. Okay. But did you know that prices were just slashed on medications? That's so pharmacists, what did she say? That's so drug makers can raise their prices. Hold on a second. You just slash the prices. So how then does it follow that they raise their prices? But the bottom line is the conversation wasn't going her way. So what did she do? She attacked the questioner. She didn't have to stop for the interview. She didn't have to stop and talk to this person, but she chose to. And then she couldn't handle anything being different, any challenge to her opinion she couldn't handle. And that is another disturbing piece of video, as is this one. People now, this is what I was afraid of when we started kneeling for the flag and calling the Betsy Ross flag racist. And all of these things that are patriotic and American are somehow white supremacist or white supremacy adjacent. I knew the dominoes were going to continue to fall in this direction. Listen to this one.
We boycott all of their shows. We boycott the charade. We don't gather in parks to celebrate an illusion. We won't pretend that explosions overhead make us independent while our rights, our voices, and our futures are being sold off behind our backs. Instead, we reclaim the day with solidarity and silence. Gather with your friends. Gather with your families. Support your local independently owned businesses. Turn this day into a true declaration, not of fake independence, but of real, grounded community. While the fireworks go off, we will not be a part of the illusion. We will stand together in quiet strength, in unity, and in truth, because real power does not come from parades and explosions. It comes from people standing shoulder to shoulder, refusing to be distracted. This is not about left or right anymore. This is not about race or party. This is about all of us. This is about ending the performance and starting something real. My friends, we, you and I and everyone else, we are the resistance. We are the economy, and we will not celebrate a freedom that does not exist. Hold the line, and please share this video everywhere. Thank you.
Well, I'm not sharing it because I support you. Now, look, I agree. Support your local businesses. I'm a huge made in America person. I try very, very hard to limit what I buy. You know, in some cases you can't, but as much as I can, I try. So that good for him on that. But to deny the celebration of what this country began as, which was this, and stay tuned because there's a great piece at the very end here that I'm going to roll for you that talks about this and how great America really is. Again, someone's saying that his freedoms are being threatened, that we are the resistance. So he's on a video saying this and sharing it. No one's saying there's power in fireworks, dude. What we're saying is the fireworks help us celebrate and remember how we started. When in the course of human events. Okay. This is another free speech theatrics. This is an American student, I believe, who is in England. And she's interviewing a woman about free speech. And this is another one where, again, things don't go quite the gal's way. Roll it, Misty.
Excuse me, I'm a student journalist. Would you mind answering a couple of questions? Sure. It's fine for, yeah. Can you just tell me a little bit about your organization and why you guys are out here today? So we're called Let Women Speak, and we meet monthly to exercise our right for free speech for women, specifically women. And what parts of free speech do you think is being infringed on? Any free speech that's infringed upon is all parts of free speech. So you should, do you mean what do I want to speak about that I can't? Yeah. So that might be that women don't have penises, that women deserve spaces away from men, that a man who calls himself a woman is not one, that you shouldn't transition children. So, how are trans women infringing on cis women's spaces? So men in women's spaces makes it no longer a women's space, so we don't have a right to a women's space if a man is allowed in it.
Have you ever felt personally unsafe with a trans woman in your presence?
Have I felt unsafe with men in my presence? Yes, 100% with. Yeah, men. So that would be free speech. If you say you're for free speech and you're trying to police my speech to call a man, then you wouldn't be for free speech, would you? Are you for free speech? I guess not. Very upsetting.
That woman is very present online, obviously British. Part of that group, Let Women Speak, who want to say, look, I'm not going to go along with the charade. You want to call it a trans woman, I call it a man. And that student journalist who, asked some good questions, but kept saying, trans woman, you mean a man, trans woman, a man. And then when she said, see, you aren't letting me exercise my free speech because I can't call a man. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your time. See you later. Not surprising. She was a white American girl, obviously liberal. I don't know. I kind of like the Brit and her saying, I want to say that women can't have a penis. I want to say that men can't be in women's spaces and that we shouldn't transition children. Love her. I agree. All right, we're going to leave you with two. One I promised earlier, but first, this will cheer you up. This will make you happy. This little kid and his dad at the golf course. Roll it.
What are you giving me? What are you giving me if I get a hole in one?
If you get a hole in one, I will buy you whatever you want from the clubhouse at the turn, except beer. Any sandwich, any chips, any pop. How's that sound?
Good.
Good? Oh, what a beautiful swing. Oh, that's just pretty up. Oh my goodness! Oh my God! You gotta be kidding me! 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 Oh my God! Oh my God! You anything he wants at the clubhouse.
It's a lot easier than putting.
Mic drop.
Oh, that is brilliant. I love the reaction. I've never hit a hole in one. I've come close. Never have. I know people who have, and I think it feels like that, especially for that kid. Now he gets and he says it's a lot easier than putting. Brilliant. Love him. All right. Finally, and this is fun. There's an Australian comedian who loves America. And let's roll it, Misty.
I love Independence Day because your country broke away from England and got freedom. Australia never did that, right? We're Britain's little that's what we are. You guys, you tipped the tea in the ocean. I think that's what it was. You tipped tea in the ocean and you were like... So England didn't like that. They put their red coats on, which is still the most arrogant military uniform in the history of combat. The least camouflage outfit there was. When Paul Revere was like, the English are coming, everyone was like, no shit, Paul, we can see. From a mile away. Anyway, long story short, no one thought you'd win. You had 16 guns, 4 pitchforks, and Mel Gibson, and you won. And that's why I love this country. Yeah, you stick it to England. We still drink hot tea in Australia. You don't get hot tea anywhere in America. You're done with tea forever. The only time you drink tea is to annoy England. You're like, tea? How do we drink it? Cold, with a pound of sugar in a can that says Arizona. How you like that?
I love that. You can drink hot tea in America. My mother-in-law has that for breakfast. But I love that. I love that line with a pound of sugar in it. What? It's great. So you go from someone who hates the 4th of July, thinks it represents oppression, to a guy from Australia who understands what the 4th of July actually means. It means we gave the big middle finger to England and said, we're doing it on our own from now on. Thank you very much. We don't want a king ruling us. And no, we don't have someone who thinks he's a king. He is going to push the boundaries. There is no doubt about it. But what we also have is a Congress and a Supreme Court that can push back. And voters. We have that too. So be brave, do good. Don't just go along with the narrative out there, especially if you feel it in your gut that it's not true. Listen to opposing viewpoints. We just did. And then develop your own arguments. Go for it. Happy Wildcard Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Hey, you can keep up with the Trump administration when you subscribe to the Trump Report. It's an email that brings you daily highlights from the Oval Office right to your inbox 5 days a week. Subscribe today at SalemPodcastNetwork.com/Trump.